Welcome to the Goddess Show podcast, voices of visionary women, inspiring female leaders by interviewing amazing guests to encourage us all to rise up. Enjoy. Well, hello and welcome to the Goddess Show, voices of visionary women, inspiring female leaders. And today I'm very honored and excited to have Genene Wilson on the show. Welcome, Genene.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. We had just such a lovely warm chat before we started. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Fantastic. Well, for our listeners and viewers, I want to tell you about Genene because she's pretty amazing. Genene Wilson is a business coach, speaker, and former CPA, CFP with over 30 years experience helping women build profitable, value-led businesses and financial independence, which is so important for us women. After leaving traditional finance, she created the Prosperity Queen and Women Who Sell and Prosper. How good is that? Platforms to demystify money, sales, and success for women. Genene's story shows that it is never too late to redefine success, trust yourself, and rise into leadership with confidence, clarity, and purpose. So all of that just sounds wonderful, Genene. And without further ado, we're going to launch into this interview with your very first question, which is a bit personal, if you don't mind sharing. What would you say are some of the biggest personal obstacles you have overcome on your way to success, and how did you do it?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I think there's probably three things that come to mind immediately. In my corporate life, I was bullied, and that robs you of your ego and makes it really difficult to take that next step with a great deal of confidence. And secondly, I've had some really strong health challenges over the years, not just with myself, but with my family. And thirdly, because of those two other things, people have this perception that finance experts have got, mega bucks and all of the rest of it. But we're all making mistakes, along the way. I'm not going to stand here and say I've never made any financial mistakes. So certainly there's been some challenges financially as well. And I'm more than happy to talk about those and tell people, I'm real. I'm human. We've made mistakes. I'm just like you. And I learnt from those mistakes. And sometimes things are unavoidable. Health challenges. I look back, Tilda, and
They're
quite
beyond our
frankly,
control, aren't they?
they're outside of our control. And I say to people, if I only knew what I know today when I was in my 20s or 30s, the importance of things like gut health and, the implications of medications, I have a healthy skepticism about medical practice and, drug companies and all of those sorts of things these days. But that comes with maturity, I think,
Yeah.
and learning along the way to critically analyze things and really assess and make decisions from a place of being well informed is so important in life. And, obviously the obvious one, if people want to know more about bullying, well, just look up my TED talk, Is Casual Bullying a Pandemic? I'm sure they'll find me there. I'm happy to tell that story because I think that the biggest thing that struck me as I went through that period of bullying, and it happened to me not once, not twice, more times than I could count.
How did you
On one,
overcome it, by the way?
yeah, look, I think I withdrew. I'm very introspective. I'm a big on journaling, so I wrote and wrote and wrote. I wrote that anger out till, and I got help, and eventually I spoke to someone about it. But it took a very long time to seek that sort of help, and it took me probably 3 years working with an executive coach who was also a therapist to really deal with all of that. And again, that's something that came with maturity because I feel as though I'm potentially of a generation where we didn't discuss those topics.
No, we didn't. And it
Uh,
just goes to show, if you don't mind me interjecting here, it just goes to show just how evil the word can be and just how detrimental bullying can be. It really wears down your self-worth and self-esteem. So no wonder it took you 3 years, because when you keep being beaten down, of course your self-confidence will just diminish. And
Yeah.
it takes a while
Yeah.
to build it up and to have the ability to deal with it, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I say now, it robbed me of my ego, and I had to rebuild myself.
Mm.
I had to become
Oh,
myself again.
congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm.
So, next up, tell us about your business.
So look, I had a financial advice practice for a number of years, and I successfully sold that practice in 2024. Well done, me. Woohoo!
Well done.
And look, I'm not sure that that's a common thing to happen. Many businesses just close their doors when people want to retire or semi-retire. And so I, took a little bit of a step away after I, successfully handed my clients on to the new owners. And I took some time away and I did my traveling and did a few things, but ultimately I never thought that I would retire. It was only ever a plan to semi-retire. So, I'm in my third age and reinventing myself, and I'm extending on my authorship, my speaking, my travel, and working with people, particularly women, and showing them how to build a better business. I'm working in coaching and consulting and mentoring now, and it's really drawing on all of that wisdom gained over 30 plus years in business and showing people how to do what I've done. Visibility is quite important in this day and age. And, not everybody wants to do that, but,
Yeah, yeah.
becoming more visible and making a sales process that maps the people you want to work with, the clients you want to attract, the clients you want to bring into your business and work with, and the clients that ultimately you want to retain. And so helping people, particularly women, develop their business strategies, develop their business plans, and actually execute on those plans operationally is
That
really
sounds
important.
awesome. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So, Janine, next up, what were, with your current business coaching, what were the first few steps you took to get your business up and running? What did you do?
what did I do? That's very interesting. I think thinking through in and thinking into a draft plan is where I start. I get out the whiteboard, I start just brain dumping everything down. I start reorganizing and reordering things, deciding what's the most important things, what's the first step, the next logical step to work through it. And quite frankly, I think that as a woman, I don't feel that we need to do this alone. I've tried to do things alone before, and I think it's slower. And
Well,
so,
yeah.
one of the first things I did, believe it or not, was get myself a coach.
Fantastic. So you
And
got
I
yourself a whiteboard and you got yourself a coach.
Absolutely. And I just put onto paper all of those thoughts and ideas and started working through, well, who is it that I want to work with? What is it that I want? What is my message? What is my zone of genius? And, how can I help women was the niche I landed on, and what women do I want to help? And so I had some conversations with some trusted friends in business as well,
Yeah.
within my network. And one of the things that really I came to realize was we're in a little bit of an age where many people in business actually have quite a lot of leads, but they're not doing everything they can with
With
those
them.
leads. So
Yes.
there's a lot of leakage of leads out of their system. And so what I wanted to teach was how to, retain those leads, convert those leads into actual sales, how to nurture them, and what those processes were. So I decided to focus in on sales because I think sales is the lifeblood of any business. Without revenue,
Absolutely.
it's either a hobby or you're going broke and you're out of business before you can blink. And so
Absolutely.
many women in particular find it difficult. They feel salesy or awkward, or they don't know how to price, or, whatever their particular flavor of problem is, there's a solution. You can learn all of this stuff. It's just knowing how to do it and how to make sales as natural as breathing, quite frankly,
Yeah, yeah.
Tula.
I mean, that's a great niche to go into, isn't it? Sales, fantastic.
Mm.
That's great. Thank you for that. So, is that why, or why are you passionate about it? Tell us why.
Oh, look, I'm passionate about it. Businesses fail. Right? And, people grind away for years in business. You can grind away for 1, 3, 5, 7 years without really enjoying success. How many people do you know? I know quite a few well, let's think about musicians. You're in the arts, musicians. Who seems like a one-hit wonder, or who seems like they just made it, but they're 65 years old and they've been
Yeah.
grinding away at their
Yes.
craft for
Yes.
45 years, right? And
Absolutely.
so business is the same. Many businesses bootstrap it, and by that I mean they haven't got a lot of capital to work with to start with, but they just, grind away at it.
Yeah.
And that grinding away is relentless. It's
It
exhausting.
is and exhausting. Yes.
Yeah. And so, sometimes the smarter move is to get someone to help you
Yeah.
and to
So, is that
invest.
what makes you passionate about it?
It does. To invest. Look, there's numerous ways to invest. I spent the other part of my career talking to people about investments, and this part of my career, I'm talking a lot more about investing in yourself and investing in your business to be successful.
That's fantastic. So, next up, I want to talk about what would you say have been your biggest challenges so far?
In my current
In
business,
business. Yeah.
Mm. Look, business coaching and coaching generally, life coaching, any sort of coaching, there is a lot of demand for it, but there's also a lot of competition.
Mm.
And, everyone is spruiking off this method, that method, the other method, run a challenge, do a webinar, have a funnel. There's so much noise
It
in
is
the
a crowded
space.
space. Yeah.
There is a lot of noise in the space. And so I seek to, when working with someone, work with them to understand them and their business, to understand what's holding them back, and then let's deal with one thing at a time. So to be honest with you, Tula, since I've kicked off again late last year in about September, every woman I've spoken to has had some mindset issue or
Mm.
problem
That's
related to
interesting, isn't
mindset.
it?
It's very interesting. You can be a visionary, but you don't execute because there's something holding you back. So, focusing in on what those problems are and opening up those invisible gates so that we can actually then free ourselves and give ourselves permission to succeed has been one of the most important things that I've identified in working with women in the last
Fantastic.
4 or 5, 6 months. And so, that's where I have found the most value is breaking down those barriers initially and,
So is,
creating that mindset, that shift in mind and thought. Mm.
so is that how you might say you overcame these challenges
Oh,
by
look, it's the
focusing?
work I did myself over that 3 year period I mentioned earlier. That's the sort of work that I did. And deep thinking, deep thought, deeply moving stuff, if I can put it that way. And just opening up this way of being and doing things. And actually, interestingly, just before the holidays, my coach asked me what's holding me back and what are my fears, and I said, well, I'll do anything to be successful. Nothing will hold me back because I've dealt with all of that. I've given myself permission to be and to do. And, now it is, attracting the right clients. I'm not chasing, I'm choosing who I want to work with, and then working with those people, those women to bring them their success, working with them. I'm not telling people what to do, but I'm working alongside them, partnering with them and teaching them how to be successful in their own way, in their own business. And I think that that's really important.
I think
And
so too, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. Fantastic. So, okay, let me ask you something else now. How do you keep motivated through difficult times? I mean, you, personally, how do you do it?
Yes, look, this is a very difficult question for me to answer because I'm not sure how I do it. But let me tell you, my last 2025 was a very challenging year personally with health. My husband went through some very serious health problems. I lost my mum in
So
2024. My
sorry to hear.
dad is very unwell. You know, a lot going on in my family with my son and his family and so on. And so for me, it was a year where, how easy would it be to coil up in a ball? And I look back and say, I don't know how I do it, but I know this. My son raced motorbikes when he was growing up, and
Mm.
people go, "Are you insane? Why would you let your child do that?" Well, he was passionate and he wanted to do it. And I accepted the fact that he would learn how to do it properly and then he would execute on that plan and do it properly. And yes, accidents happen, but you don't stop living in order to live. And so I feel like sometimes I just, you know, drink some concrete or something, I don't know, to get through to that next thing. And I know myself that I've been really tough when I've needed to be tough. I've done what needed to be done. And then I just might melt for a few days or a few weeks and then, build my energy back up because I find that when you're dealing with tough things, energy is so important. And so having good general health can help support the times when they come that are tough. And so in our household, we've focused in on, healthy living. And I think that that's helped us get through these really tough times that we've had recently. But I think having a positive mental attitude has also been really important, Tula. And when people talk about motivational talks and things to me, that feels a bit like fairy floss. It's sweet that moment it's in your mouth, but it disappears very quickly.
No,
It's
I think
very,
so too. It has to
yeah,
be based on something really, really powerful.
it does. And it's difficult to sustain that motivation. And so you've got to draw on your own wherewithal, your own strength in your mindset. You can use tools like journaling or all sorts of practices to build yourself back up and build your being. But ultimately it comes down to who says we just have to have one coach? Ultimately, if I needed to have somebody else helping me, I would go and seek that support.
Yeah,
Having a
absolutely.
team of people is crucial, and I know this from the treatment my husband just went through.
Yeah,
It was a
absolutely. I mean,
team
there's a
effort.
coach, there's a teacher, there's a doctor, there's someone for absolutely everything. So it makes sense
Yeah,
that you might have more than one.
yeah,
But
and it's a team.
what I heard from everything you said, and as you say, I mean, these challenges sound so incredibly. I mean, these are major, major life changes that you've been through. And
Mm,
I'm so sorry to hear you went through all that. And the thing is that, yes, you can curl into a ball. Um, and I think part of what you said made me want to share my thoughts. And my thoughts are that as is it's all we are human and we can give ourselves permission to crawl into a ball,
mm,
even if it's for a little while, and then get back up.
yeah. Rest and recovery is so important, isn't it? Yeah,
Because if we're not well, how can we possibly deal with anything? So, thank you
yeah.
for sharing that. Thank you. So, my next question to you is, what is the best advice you've received recently, Janine?
Oh, what is the best advice I received recently? Oh my goodness, that's a really tough one. That is tough. I think know yourself and know what it is that you want and say no to things that you don't want.
That's a big one, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Say no to things. It's okay to say no to things. It's okay to have boundaries and say no to things that you don't want. It's just as important as saying yes to things that you do want.
Well, that sounds like great advice. I love that. That's fantastic. So now I'm going to ask you what your favorite business tools and resources are and why. And please only a couple of good ones that you, because I know there are so many.
We could talk all day.
I
Look,
know.
I think having a really good look, there's lots of noise in the market that you don't need a website, you do need a website, you need a sales funnel, you don't need a sales funnel, you need a like you could just be spending megabucks on all these tools. But ultimately, you want to look for a tool that gives you great efficiency in terms of, if the three pillars of your business is attract, convert, and retain customers, how do you do that and manage that? So you want a tool that ultimately helps you deliver those core things.
And
And
which
then
tool
on
do you recommend personally, Janine, for that?
Oh, look, I use a CRM and website, and it's got funnels built in. It's based on Go High Level, but it's from a provider here in Australia. I love Sarah Cordner and her work. I use her Techmatics platform. I find that she's very innovative and, informative, and it works really well for my business. So that's all of that operational stuff taken care of there, and I find it quite easy to use. And if I'm not finding it easy to use, I can get help really easily and at a relatively low cost. And that combines a lot of things that on other platforms you'd be paying additional for. So I find it from
Sounds
a
like a
cost,
really good resource and tool
yeah.
because
So from a resource point of view, it's not draining my bank account just to keep all these different add-ons going. And then secondly, you need to be able to deliver it in a way that's attractive. Now, you don't need to have a lot of tools to do that. You can go live on Facebook or Instagram, or, all you need is a camera and a phone on your camera, and you can go live. So you don't need a lot of tools for that. But if you want to have something a bit more, I quite like Canva. I use
Canva's
Canva in my,
fantastic,
yeah.
especially now with the AI integration.
That's right. And so I use Canva. It can now help you produce PowerPoints and all sorts of things. And then for my video editing and things like that, I actually used a script, but probably because I've been using it a little while. But I tend to come back and review these tools quite regularly, at least once a year. Otherwise, you end up with a whole bunch of subscriptions you're not using, or really
They can
defunct in their
really drain your business bank account, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. And you just want to know that for me, I like to be at the cutting edge. I'm teaching people how to do things. They have expectations of me, and that's that, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not some dinosaur out there chiseling things in stone.
I love that. Thank you for sharing those. They're great tools and resources. So tell me, Janine, what are your current goals and how are you striving to achieve them? What's up next for Janine?
What's up next? So look, my big goal this year was 500,000 in revenue. And, in my first year, I think that that's a pretty lofty goal, but I'm here to do it. And so what I
But
like
how
to
will
do
you do it?
What I like to do is reverse engineer that number. So I need to understand my pricing.
Mhm.
So what do I need to do in terms of pricing my products? And what are my products? Well, my products are books, coaching, mentoring. It's also speaking. And so, what are my products, and how much of each of those do I need to sell to make that revenue goal? And then work backwards from that. So, it gives me an indication of how many clients I need to convert to get my revenue for coaching, for example.
Mm.
And then I'd say, okay, well, what's my conversion rate? And what if my conversion rate was 20% less or 20% more? So I play around with the
Oh,
numbers. This
that's
is
fantastic. That's
it's
really good
very,
advice.
very analytical, but I look at it from the perspective of how many leads, how many applications do I need to have, applications in terms of talking to people and bringing them on board, giving them an experience of working with me, actually converting them into one of my programs, and so on, so that I can achieve the revenue. So I reverse engineer it. It's very much from that standpoint, operationally in the business, working out on those numbers. And people might be now going to, oh my God, I don't know the numbers. But look, I work from
Well,
very simple frameworks. I develop some of my own frameworks because if you've got a framework, it's really easy. You
that's right.
don't
And
have to get
also,
lost in the weeds.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic because the other thing about goals is sometimes they seem unreachable, but if you actually break it down into numbers and if you qualify it further,
Yes.
then it becomes absolutely reachable,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
You might find you need to talk to five people this week and win one customer. You might find that that goal means that you've got to actually do more than that. You might need to
Yeah,
double down,
yeah,
but at
that's
least you'll
great.
have the awareness. You won't be looking back going, where did I go wrong?
Yeah,
How do you
what
assess where
happened?
you went wrong? Because it was just a dream in the first place.
Yeah, that's the difference between dreams and actual, reality, isn't it?
That is,
And
yeah,
in actual fact, I just want to mention something little here, and it is the year of the fire horse. If you're into Chinese astrology,
I am.
and I love it because I'm a fire horse, so this is my year. However, for everybody else, it's actually about putting ambition into action and getting out of your comfort zone to do it. So this is the year to do it, ladies. We're
I love it, Tula. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to raise it too. So
Oh, great.
interestingly, I was just in Singapore, and of course, Chinese New Year
Oh,
in
yes,
Singapore
yes,
is
yes.
incredible. And so I'm a year of the ox, and we went to this Chinese New Year celebration and display. And year of the ox, I cannot believe it. I'm standing there reading about it, and apparently there's a prosperity star,
Wow. So you
and
to achieve your goal.
the prosperity star is there to support oxes this year. So this is my year.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Okay, so Janine, my next question to you is, are you currently running any promos, contests, or giveaways?
I am. So at the moment, I mentioned earlier, I love to give people an experience of working with me. And so what I've been running just recently is a 5-day immersion. It's 30 minutes a day for 5 consecutive days. And we just start with, who are you? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? What's your business? I get an understanding of who you are. And then I'll give you a bit of a teaching on one of those areas. It might be mindset, it might be sales, it might be developing an offer, it might be something related to sales. And then we'll go from there. So I just introduce you to it. I help you solve one problem in that 5 days and, see what
And
it's like to work with me.
oh, that sounds absolutely wonderful for our listeners and viewers. Fantastic. So, next up, what advice would you give to other aspiring female entrepreneurs?
Look, here's something that occurred to me this week. When I was away, I had a house sitter. They were a lovely couple. And when I met them, they said, "Oh, we're trying to be entrepreneurs." And that that
Right.
that simple statement sat in the back of my head for 2 weeks while I was away. And I came bursting through the door when I got home and said, "I just want to tell you something. You're not trying to be entrepreneurs. You are entrepreneurs. You're doing it."
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you.
And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur. Figure it, you've got to start somewhere. Figure it out. What do you want to do? Where is your genius? And how can you then convey that to other people and build from there? Build a product, build your idea. And if you want to test your idea, there's a whole range of ways you can test your ideas. Don't
Especially with
spend
social media at the moment.
Exactly. Don't
Yeah.
spend a year inventing something in silence in your small office in the back of your home. Actually get out there and talk to people about it. Find out if there's a need for it. Find out if create a wait list and get people to join a wait list. If no
Yeah.
one joins the wait list, no one wants it.
Well, that sounds pretty brutal, but it's actually true. Absolutely true. And ladies, for our listeners and viewers, an extension to what you said, Janine, is just like we each have our own unique fingerprint, we each have a unique gift to share, don't we? So
Oh,
get out
absolutely.
there and do it. I'll second that.
Find your uniqueness, find your gift, find your genius and share it. because selling anything is basically just sharing what you know. And
That's right.
oftentimes people go, "Oh, I don't know enough." Women in business, women in corporate, credentializing yourself for donkey's years. Sorry if I can say that.
Of
Before,
course.
actually doing it or expecting that promotion or, never feeling good enough. That's a whole
Yes.
load of
Good enough. That's
bunkum
a big one,
nonsense.
isn't it?
Yeah. You don't need to do that. Oftentimes you can help people when you're just one, two, or three steps ahead of them.
That's right. And you do know something, even if you take it for granted. You know it. So thank
Absolutely.
you. That's awesome. Now, this is your very last question. How do we connect with you?
Oh, okay. So that's really interesting. JaneneWilson.com is my website. And my phone number, I'm here in Australia, is 1300 026 800, or email at Janine@finesseadvisors.com. And perhaps we can put that in the show notes because if people want to reach me, they probably need to know how to firstly spell my name. It's a bit of a
Oh, your
tricky
name
one.
is actually on the screen, but
It
it's
is on the screen.
Gene. Where are we? Just
Genene.
Gene Wilson, Wilson. And is
Yes,
it
and I'm
.com or .com.au?
.com.
.com. There.
JaneneWilson.com.
Are you on LinkedIn or any other social media?
I am. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook,
Okay,
all the
what are your
platforms.
usernames? Is it the company name or your personal name?
Oh, both, but Genene Wilson's just as easy. And so I also have a YouTube channel
Great.
as well. And so, yeah, look, people can probably just Google me or drop me into Chat GPT, and hopefully with this new SEO or whatever they're calling it now,
I love it. All
they'll
the
find me.
abbreviations. We'll find you. We will find you, especially with that amazing offer that you have on at the moment, the 5 day, what did you call it? Intensive?
Immersion.
Immersion. Yes, that sounds wonderful. So thank you so much for your time today, Janine. It's been an absolute joy to interview you, and I wish you amazing success. And I've got a feeling we'll be seeing each other soon.
I'm pretty sure we will, Tula. And thank you again for inviting me. It's been a joy talking to you. And I love talk. I love talking. In case you can't
Yes,
identify that, and I
excellent.
particularly love talking with women who've got a vision and are taking action on it. It's amazing. I love that.
Wonderful.
Positive action.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janine.
My pleasure. Bye
Now,
for now.
thank you for tuning in to the Gotta Show podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, share, and we look forward to seeing you next time.